Hello, everyone, and welcome back to round two of the Cardboard Seller Tournament Series. This is the Winter Modern Tournament. On the left, we have Luke, or Diddy, playing Boros Energy, and
Hold on
Zach on the right playing Izzet Phoenix.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and Austin McLean back in booth here with Jared Ellenberger. So Zach on that is at Phoenix. He just brought this deck. He's normally a mill player, Demir Mill, and then this is actually only Diddy's or Luke or Diddy, but this is only his second time playing in a tournament. So just part of that reason that we started this tournament is to get new players out and get them introduced. So overall, he's been playing pretty well through the tournament already, through round one, for only his second time playing. So we'll kind of see what we get here. But Zach going to start off with a nice Dragon Rage Channeler.
A strong start from Zach as Diddy's developing his mana base. But yeah, a great mix of players. And probably bringing some of the newer players up to speed quite a bit faster, putting them in these competitive environments, making them think for themselves rather than leaning on somebody to help them through it. But a quick answer to that Dragon's Rage Chandler and a strong play in Guide of Souls on Diddy's part as well. So what are your thoughts on this matchup, Austin? Who do you think needs to be the aggressor? Who do you think has the long-term advantage?
Whenever a creature enters the battlefield,
I think I have to give it to Boros Energy. I think it just has too much resiliency compared to the Izzet deck, and I think it's so set on just casting spells and Phoenixes when you can play a Ledger Shredder or a Murktide, and it can just get static prisoned. So obviously, I think where it's going to come down to here is Diddy's experience going to kind of hold him back in this, and is Zach going to be able to get through that? But I think Boros Energy just has so much of a better, so much of a
game. For sure. If we come into a grindy situation, I think Boros Energy, I would agree with you, definitely has the fitness to do that. I think most of the wins from the Izzet Phoenix side definitely are faster, either combos with multiple Phoenixes or one unanswered Murktide to punch in for big amounts of damage. If the Izzet Phoenix deck is winning, it's winning quickly, whereas the Boros Energy deck can grind and take on sort of, not a controlling role, but definitely a mid-range value role.
Yeah, and
another turn of threat backed up by removal as Manic Bombardment goes after this Ledger Shredder
And do I need 3 to kill it?
Yeah, but you've got your second spell this turn.
Oh, I can't do it?
No, you're good.
Okay.
But whenever you cast your second spell, he connives. So I'll draw a card.
Okay.
So I think
Discard a card.
Zach's going
If
to
it's not a land
connive
card, he
off
gets
of
a
Diddy's
+1/+1
second spell of the turn, so playing the Ajani and then playing the Galvanic Blasts. He's going to get that.
So that
Or Galvanic
did nothing for me.
Seeing that lack of familiarity with Magic in general, but with the modern format, especially with Ledger Shredder, if he sequenced those spells a little bit differently, Zach wouldn't have the opportunity to save that Ledger Shredder.
Are you done?
No, I
Or
don't.
get
that
I don't
Arclight
have
into
to
his
swing
graveyard.
so I won't swing.
What do you mean?
Well, okay, I use
Seems like they're
this.
discussing
right?
how the
And I get
energy
3 energy
is playing
and
out.
I can use it to attack you, but since I played the spell,
And
then you got up to +4.
Diddy actually does
and I
have a
so I can't
fourth
kill
and
you.
fifth
Yeah.
energy,
So now
I
I
believe,
don't.
based off of the
That's fine.
Macabre coming in, provided that those triggers aren't missed, but
Can I?
You can attack.
might be,
But I don't want
especially
you to
with round 2 and early experience with the deck, there
I
might
don't really.
be
That's the one thing I'm not used to yet.
some
is like when I
lessons to be
swing.
You
learned
just don't
here.
want it to be useless. Like if you had,
Exactly.
And,
But like
taking
if I
your lumps
swung
for
with all
missing
of these,
those
you could kill one of
energy
them.
triggers or not understanding how you can pay the extra energy. It also looks like maybe Diddy's asking a couple of questions. Perhaps we have a judge walked up to the table that we can't see. Although Zach is proceeding with his turn, so
I
perhaps
will.
not.
Yeah, I think there were some missed triggers here. Obviously, once again, coming back down to
One
experience.
Unholy Heat
Zach,
to
I think
that.
throughout the game was trying to help as much as possible. But once again, that's why we do this. And obviously, it's competitive, but at the same time, trying to help to those limits. So,
This for
but
red.
Diddy's still in a good spot. I think the big thing here is going to be the flying. I think flying is going to be the biggest factor. Zach can get off a bigger Ledger Shredder to get away
I'll use
from
Lightning Axe on
some of
that.
this
I'll
and
take
get a
discarded
few
cards, and I'll discard
arc lights
this.
in like we talked about. I think that's going to be the big thing.
That's my second spell this turn, so I'll connive,
Both
draw a
players
card.
here.
Oh, I should have realized
It's
that.
just a matter of what threat is left on the battlefield for each player. Ledger Shredder definitely stacking up well against a 2/1 cat token, and we're one spell off of a Arclight Phoenix coming back out of that graveyard. So we'll see if Zach can put that together and get that powerful card back in attacking formation.
Yeah, I think he's doing some math off of his connive, I want to say. I think he's still in the middle. Yep, still debating. So I think we're going to see another counter go on that Ledger Shredder as well.
Yeah, it looks like it as expressive iteration hits the bin. That's a tough one to throw away. I can understand Zach's hesitation, but it looks like we must be short on the third spell. I think he only needed to find one in those draws, but just falling short of being able to bring that Arclight back.
If your hub enters the battlefield, you get 1 energy, so this goes up to 4.
Yep.
And I think Diddy's down to lower resource in hand. I don't think he's got much going on there, so we'll kind of see what happens next here. I think Zach's running a little low on resource as well, so I think between the two of them and then getting rid of that espresso.
I'm going to use this.
But I lied. Diddy has the perfect answer for that, putting down the 1 ring. So we're going to get some protection, and we're going to get some
gain protection from
card
At
advantage
the
online.
beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life for each burden counter on the 1 ring.
Yeah.
Resource to finish off your hand with, and the 1 ring will build that hand right back, buy you some time in the form of that protection.
And then put a burden counter.
Just helping everyone
Yeah,
to pay for their spells appropriately and understand how the
Draw a
1
card,
ring,
but
which
your
is a
next
very
upkeep you'll
complicated
take
card,
1
works.
Yes.
It looks like 2
But you can't be
Ragamuffins.
damaged
Diddy
until
Zach
your next
caught a
turn.
glimpse of that.
And then
Maybe Zach pulling that Phoenix off to the
I
side
can
just to
pay
remind
you
Diddy
to add
that
1
it
mana
is
of any
there
card,
and that it has
or do I have to?
No, you
some
have to tap.
abilities from the graveyard.
Do you want to attack?
Yeah, I think he's trying to prepare. I don't know what he's got in hand, but maybe we'll see it. Maybe we won't.
Yep.
The cat token coming across for 2 damage as Zach will untap. Ledger Shredder unlikely to get frisky in the red zone this time with protection from the 1 ring still outstanding.
Yeah, I see that Murktide in hand.
For sure. Murktide a massive threat, although it looks like we're going to go with the Ledger Shredder and just try to
I think
get
this just gives you
a couple
protection,
more
right?
knives, a couple more
This
options,
is a gain protection from everything.
Yeah,
maintain some of that card velocity.
I'll bolt that cat,
Cool.
and then that's the second
Knives
spell.
coming
So
Zach's
I'll
way.
connive with this one.
Looks like can I have 1 maybe hit an island if I'm not mistaken?
I discarded a land, so he
I
doesn't
don't
get
know what that
the
is.
pump.
I believe that's a
Discard
Steam
this
event.
card for this one, and I don't know.
And I assume that is a Thought Scour, although it's not a art dime for
I'll swing 3. Pass.
Ledger Shredder coming in, and we
I think we're both at 16.
assigned damage despite the protection, but
Now I pick up 2.
I thought for a
untap
chance we were
everything.
going to get it fixed, but
Then you're good.
it looks like
And then if you want to, you can
failed
add
to
a burden
maintain
counter
the game
and tap
state
this.
there.
No, I'll leave
Players
it. I'll
missing
leave
it,
it
and
1.
with us
So,
not having the ability to
that's
go back
fine,
in time
but-
to these types
I
of
still take
things,
1 damage, but I still
we
can
may
pick up 2.
encounter that.
Or
As
do
you
I have to
mentioned, we
burn
do
it to
have
pick
Hold on, so when the one
players
ring-
here, and
At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life per burden counter.
reach completion.
So
that Zach
you'll lose
to
1,
keep track of
and
that as
then
well.
you can tap it and put a burden counter and draw a card for each burden counter.
So if I draw 1 to start my turn, and if I put another burden counter, then I can draw 2.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that was kind
The
of
next
just
turn I'll
trying
lose
to
2.
Yes,
help
did you
out,
draw
but
for
also
turn
I drew
play
for turn.
on.
Okay.
Right here. But I can still do
So definitely
Yes,
a miss
you
there
can't
is
draw with
something
this
that
unless you tap.
we'll be able to teach on for the next one. So once again, that's why we do this, and
Should I or should I
learn
I
from
definitely
this.
don't think there's any ill intent. It's just a learning moment for both players.
Decisions.
And
know if it's right.
if that were to become a problem, we'd find it out here by the end of the
I won't do it
tournament.
yet.
I don't recall anything
So
like that
I'm gonna.
coming.
So this.
coming to
This.
fruition,
What is
so
this thing? This
I
is
imagine
any
it's just
color?
a
That's
miss.
no, so that's like this. Or like, you see how it's
Oh, I
blue,
see,
and
yeah,
blue and
figure
a
out,
1?
uh,
Yeah,
exactly
colorless.
how
So blue and a
Aether
1, you can
works,
tap it for
It's
the
not
1.
any color. Okay.
Yes.
But I can do
potentially
4 of each, so I'm gonna go to 3.
tapping the One Ring to draw 2 additional
Put
cards this turn.
one of the mountains, right?
Wait, what? Oh, then tap this for a mountain. Yep.
Okay, so we're
And
paying
then
an
tap this
energy
for a mountain.
for a Ragavon and a
Nope.
second
And then tap
Ragavon.
this for
Another
that. I
learning
should've done that
opportunity
first,
here
shouldn't I?
for
Yeah, you
the
got
Legend
that.
rule, provided that our
Okay,
players
it's
don't
okay
miss
though.
that as
You know,
well.
I got them all out there.
That
We're
only one
learning.
of those
Good.
Ragavons can be
Oh,
on the battlefield at a time.
Second card.
Unless it came from a Carry
Off
Zed,
an
which
eye.
would have a different name.
It's not just spells.
For, the only two
No,
Ragavons
it's
that I'm aware
cast
of.
second spell.
Battlefield at the
I'll
same
get rid
time.
of that.
did that
Connive with the other
I
one.
think Zach just
Get rid of that.
going
This
for his
one's
connive
pumped again because
triggers
it's a lane.
off of playing both spells, but hopefully we
Alright,
catch
good.
this.
Yeah. Oh man, I've messed up a lot.
Nope.
Ragavon not being a legend this instance makes it quite a bit more powerful, but tit for tat with a miss that benefited Zach and now a miss that benefits Diddy. I feel like a ref in the NFL. Sorry I made that mistake. I'll get the team
We'll eat that.
back the other way.
I don't want to play with that thing. And then I will.
Yeah, and once again, just getting used to these.
Instant sorcery.
Well, the Legend rule obviously a little bit more of a basic one, but you know the One Ring, not playing against it consistently. It's got a lot of text to it, so hopefully going forward we're even now. So we're even cutthroat.
5.
We're unlikely to have to deal with that for our next Modern tournament, as there is a ban
Tap
or
2
restricted
blue.
announcement coming up on the
Play Merc
16th. It's hard to imagine
It
that
gets
the
5
One Ring will
plus
still be legal in the
counters.
format, but maybe that's wishful thinking on my side.
And then
Yeah, I think it's hopeful. I think a
that's
lot
my
of decks
second.
definitely play it. If there was going to be a card
played
to
Unholy
see
League
it,
and Merc
I would
Tides
hope
on
that it would be the one. But you know,
Sack it.
we'll find out when that comes out.
Pump it.
Yeah, interestingly enough, they did announce that they
Island
are
doesn't get
banning
bumped.
something on the Modern on the
And then I'll
16th.
swing
It's
Okay.
not announced what it is.
7.
So, yeah.
Okay,
we'll
so swing
wait
7.
and see exactly what comes out of that with the Modern format, primarily online being pretty
I'll
overrun
pass
with Boros, with Eldrazi, and then a couple of combo decks to try to compete with them.
So I draw
It
1
seems
for my turn.
quite possible that something out of those decks is going to get hit.
And then I'm gonna tap this again.
Yeah, I definitely would not put it past something in Eldrazi. Been playing a lot of that.
Oh,
Their
wait, you
ability
lose
just
one
is
life
so
at the beginning
resilient
of
through
the
anything now, even land
Tap
hate,
for
especially with Mycosynth and a few other key components there early with how much mana it can produce at an early stage. So
This is not good for me.
And as we are daydreaming about a better Modern future, at least in my opinion, Zach has got quite a massive Murktide regent hitting the battlefield and immediately being scooped up by a static prison.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely one of the best removal spells in Modern in static prison at the moment, to be able to hit basically any permanent. And stick around for long enough in an aggressive deck like Boros Energy that tend not to get it back.
If I keep paying it,
There are other effects that have been like this in the past, sort of delaying effects that haven't seen as much play, but it's been the right combination of being able to delay, follow it up with pressure, and then even increase the amount of time it stays behind as you have other energy sources that come into play. So very
and
powerful.
whenever I deal damage to you, I do something.
Yeah, so whenever you deal damage,
yeah,
create a
great
treasure
card. I
token.
remember seeing it originally. I was like, man, I really like this card. I think it's going to be good. And then Boros Energy came out following that and just took the card to a whole new level with how synergistic
top
it
card
is.
in my library.
So
So
yeah,
you can
definitely
play
a
these
key
until next
component
turn.
and piece here to this deck. Now, Diddy definitely
get
going
another-
to,
just- you have two of these,
looks
so
like
you can stack these
bad
for
luck
mana.
off of
Of any color.
our our multi-legends on the battlefield still. I think he hit 2 lands off of it.
No,
I
like you
don't
can-
know
you
if
have to
they
pay for
understand
them
that he
still,
cannot
But you have these can be any
play
color, so you have 2 mana of any
lands.
color,
Okay.
and you can
Or
play
if we're
this if you
talking
can.
treasure versus casting.
So I mean, I'm done. I
Yeah,
can't do
double
anything.
Ragavon, although
Let's
very
get Link, I'm just gonna
impressive,
swing.
still has the
What over
Thoughtseize
there?
problem of if the card on top of the deck doesn't work
That's
out.
so
And I
unfortunate.
only had land cards that cost life.
Bunch of
So unfortunate.
Like if I just play out
Lands or exile.
Alright.
I think we're just wrapping up for the game. As, those Ledger Shredders are going to come on over top for the last couple of points of damage. So our players are going to get shuffled up here. And in the meantime, you and I can take a look at their sideboards.
That's
I'm just gonna keep that edge right there.
Why don't you go ahead and read these sideboards off to us, Austin?
Yeah, so for Zach, we have a little bit of a switch up. Plays a little bit of a different card here. So as you see, we have our Consider to start off, which is main, but then we have the Demolish, which is actually a 4-drop island. He has 2 of these. It's a Skeleton Wizard. It's a 4/3.
Oh, because you had it
It
under
costs
your...
1 island less
Oh,
from
yeah,
each
yeah.
instant and sorcery spell you've cast this turn. So kind of playing off of that chain reaction of instant sorceries. It does state whenever it attacks, exile up to 1 target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. You get to copy it, and then you can cast the copy, also hitting off of that chain reaction. And then the last has a lot of text on it, obviously. I can keep reading, but you may cast Demolish from your graveyard by exiling 4 instant and or sorcery cards from your graveyard, in addition to paying its other costs. So it has multi-abilities, a little bit of resiliency, being able to bring it back from the graveyard. Looks like we do see an Izzet Charm. We have a couple of Lightning Axes, Soul Guide Lantern, Stern Scolding, and then an Underworld Breach. Kind of hard to visualize these other 2. I believe that's a Thought Scour edition, and then I can't.
And Hibernation, I believe, is the other card. I can't remember if you said Hibernation or not, but yeah, definitely Zach's sideboard having a couple of bullets and a couple of cards that allow for some additional resiliency to play in longer games. But it looks like our players are back to rolling. That was some fast sideboarding on their parts. As far as what Zach is likely to bring in, Stern Scolding I could see playing a massive role. Being able to hit some of those early low power creatures and buy him some time to be able to combo off and get quite a few Arclights out. On Diddy's side, I think the main pull for him, Blood Moon not looking so hot against a blue-red deck, but I could see Thraben Charm to exile the graveyard in response to some Arclights triggering. Could definitely be worthwhile. And perhaps Wrath Disguise as well to reset a board that got out of hand.
And Serum
Aside from that,
Visions,
not too much
and Scry
for either
2.
player to bring in, as Diddy starts off with an Ocelot Pride and has some tokens rolling already.
Yeah, I agree with the sideboard decision around Boros. I think just getting in those Thraben charms would be huge. And in response, to a Arclight Phoenix trigger or something of that manner, getting rid of the grave at that point, nice instant, 2-drop, so nothing that's out of range. And then Zach starting off the Serum Visions here. We got Diddy getting second land, Ocelot turn 1, that's great. So see if he can take advantage of.
Did Zach miss his land drop here, or did we back up from the...
So I'll lose
I'm not
1.
sure
I believe-
if Zach has had a turn 2 yet or
Oh,
not.
this has like.
I don't believe he's had a turn 2. I think this is Diddy's turn 2 currently.
Yeah. Yes.
He's going to bring in that Sacred Foundry and tapped, it looks like. So apparently no 2-drops.
Drop this. I'll
Plenty
tap
of
that.
powerful 1-drops here as the Ocelot gets in for another point of damage. We appear to have missed the life gain and the token, but we are well on our way to having a pretty aggressive board. That token that's in play, that may be is that an energy counter or is that a cat token?
That is an energy counter. Just got that from the SCG con, so it's actually a Jolteon energy counter.
I see. I assumed it was a cat. But yeah, having to choose on this weekend between playing the SCG or playing in the Cardboard Cellar Tournament Series, it's a great weekend for Magic in Columbus.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty easy decision here. You know, Jared, I think the Cardboard Cellar Championships is predominant. You know, here.
You don't have to convince me. You know where I was for the tournament. You know what I'm doing now. So definitely a fan of Cardboard Cellar.
This one, right? Now 2 people into
As
the battlefield. I get
powerful
1 energy and 1 life.
Planeswalker Cat, Johnny Nikado Pariah comes down, synergizing well with both the Guide of Souls and the
Lifelines when
Ocelot
you attack, like
Pride.
when you do damage.
2/1
So this I
token.
get 2 from this guy.
Starting to go wide with Diddy's board here.
Yep.
Because this guy.
Yeah, Zach is off of red.
Sorry, go ahead.
I can swing with
I was gonna say no. Zach being missing off of red, I think, is gonna be a big factor here. Just having the 2 blue
You
mana.
would gain what, 1?
He's not gonna be able to get any of his removal to kind of control this board. This could spiral out pretty quickly, but it looks like we missed another cat
Serum
trigger.
Visions again. Draw a card.
Yes, so really hamstringing yourself when you're not using that card to the fullest of its ability. But as we mentioned, it is round 2. We have newer players still learning how this deck really comes together. So I'm sure that they'll continue to improve throughout the tournament. And it's not as if he's in a bad spot here.
One red, one blue.
Manamorphose may be solving that those mana color issues you were alluding to a moment ago.
Yeah, and then I'll draw a card from that.
Have a real good way of knowing which colors Zach named, but I'd be surprised if there wasn't some amount of double red involved there.
With 1
Yeah, and
A
I
hand of lightning bolts and unholy heat.
lightning axe. And
yeah, I have
and I'll
some land
discard
tokens there
Heartbreak.
exactly for that. So hopefully next time we can get those used, maybe help out for this piece. But yeah, it looks like lightning axe going to come out, take
And
care
then
of that
with
in
my last
Johnny. So
floating, I'll do
big
Unholy
there,
Heat
but
to
it looks like
Guide
we
of
went for
Souls.
double red. Okay, yep.
Red enabling
And
the
then
lightning
I'll
bolt
go to
and the
combat.
heat to take care of the potentially
And
the 2
since I
biggest
cast
threats on the
3 or
board,
more,
especially if this Ocelot fails
This
to
comes back from the
continue
graveyard.
to make tokens, and bringing back the Arclight as well.
I can't buy it.
I'll have it in the graveyard.
And then so it's Arclight. So whenever I cast, if it's in the graveyard, if I, you can just read it, but if I cast 3 or more instants or sorceries, then it comes
He's able to
back
discard
in the graveyard.
Yeah, I think that top card.
It was a lightning axe. He discarded the lightning axe, I believe, and then was able to bring it back. So I haven't seen an Arclight since 2016.
Yeah, 2016 seems like forever ago.
Determined, I guess.
Probably the last time I traveled for any real tournaments, going up to Toronto and playing against either Blue-White Control or Arclight Phoenix in every single round of that tournament.
Yeah, well, I think what was the Faithless Looting? I think Faithless Looting was kind of the nail in the coffin with that ban, right? I think with the archetype.
It definitely hamstrung, the majority of decks in Modern at the time were using Faithless Looting between, I want to say, Yawgmoth, or not Yawgmoth, the Modern Horizons 2 card that came back with Convoke from the graveyard, and Mardu Pyromancer and Arclight Phoenix and Dredge, and all of those decks were premier in Modern at the time. I get struck by the loss of Faithless Looting.
Well, you get 2 energy
Looting, a very fun card to play with,
And
but
then
also
you
a very
cast it
broken
from your hand,
card.
X out cards from the top of your
Attempted to
library
make
until you
quite a few
exile, and then
corrected versions of that card lately. Perhaps they'll get it right one of these days
you can cast it.
to be able to see some of those fair Faithless Looting decks come back.
If you make
I would like to not see that, but
Oh, yeah, and you can
we'll
use
see.
energy to pay
Keep those guys away. But it looks like he's reestablishing a huge board presence here, and off of the Amp-Rap, we're going to see a Galvanic discharge. So
yeah, so you would use one of these.
Yeah.
And
you
it
gain
looks like
3.
we're going to be casting that Galvanic Discharge for 1 energy, gaining at least 2 energy in the process,
But it
while
only
shooting down
then
this
what?
Phoenix will mean
Discharge any
we're
monster
going to
damage that
lose
permanent. So
one
you would get
mana.
rid of 2, go back to 5.
Costs us 3 energy. No, it should stay exactly where we are.
That's what I was hoping would happen.
Costs us 3 energy to cast in.
Wait, now I can swing.
And that's where I feel like this
Yep.
this Boros energy deck just has
And I get 1 life.
so much resilience against this Arclight deck because you do all that work and burn through resources to get a creature or 2 out, and they're able to just take care of it and kind of put you behind a little bit.
Yeah, they have some of the best 1 mana removal in the format coming out of colors like white and red. You don't normally expect that kind of thing. For a long time, you had to be in black to have that unconditional removal, but red getting quite the power buff with Galvanic Bombardment, and white finding a new version of essentially Chained to the Rocks in this enchantment-based removal.
Top 2,
Unconditional
like
enchantment-based
expressive
removal.
iteration. So I'll look at the top 3. I get to exile 1, put 1 in my hand and 1 back.
Yeah, and a lot of lists actually still play that Chain to the Rocks. I went back and forth around it as I kind of was putting the deck together actually for Boros Energy for Diddy, but ultimately decided against it with the meta at this tournament specifically. But yeah, no, I mean, it just has all the tools and resource and
play this.
just the top deck in Modern right now, definitely. So we'll see if Zach can kind of rebound back, or if we're just light on resources at this point.
If I cast Ledger,
A high
as the
toughness
second
creature
spell.
like Ledger Shredder is one of the ways that you do come back from this position, to be able
If
to
I
block
cast
some of
Ledger, it's
these
the second spell. It doesn't
high power, or rather medium power, low toughness creatures on Diddy's side. So we'll see if he can stabilize.
Yeah, and I think the other really nice piece too, and you were talking about white and having that reach and being able to get those big things off the board, but also just Galvanic Discharge itself. I mean, it gets, Bolt obviously has its limitations, but obviously you can see now that he's got 5 energy. You add a Galvanic Discharge to that,
When do you pay?
you're up to 8 energy, and you can kind of do as you please. You're taking out most things, even a giant Murktide that comes down, you're probably going to be able to get it. Worst case scenario. So Galvanic Discharge having as much reach as it does with the synergy of the deck, really puts another little tier to it.
And that's
Showing the redundancy not only in their threats at low mana costs with
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Pride and the
7.
Guided Swords, but in their removal.
And then I get a treasure token.
And you're swinging what?
Unconditional
Swinging
removal.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
8 total 1 mana spells there. Very impressive.
And then you'll get a treasure
And I
token.
think
you get to
the
play
worst
that.
part is you have to interact with them. Like it forces you, you say 1 drop, I'm not using a whole lot of resource here, and
You can't
then
play lands with Ragavan, can you?
they have to still deal with it,
Okay.
or else it's just going to get out of control, and then you can do those kind of things. So it has
Keep that
the
here.
best of both
That's just
worlds.
mana you
So
can use whenever you
yeah,
want.
very good deck. Zach seems to be in a pretty tough spot.
What's more
I've
of
used
this
it 3
Boros
times.
energy
Every
deck
time
and
I've
those
gotten
1 drops in Ragavan and Ocelot Pride, they end up being 2-for-1s against the opponent most times. That there's at least a token generated, or a card taken off the top of their library, or mana generated, or life gain may come into play at some point. It's not just as simple as having
Play this, lose
turn
2.
3 removal spell for it, a turn 2 removal spell for it.
Got this, expressive iteration.
They've already
Top
gained
3.
some kind of value. You're still falling behind.
That's the end of the day.
Yeah, very trigger happy deck. Definitely have to be up with the triggers and really learning how to stack everything and what to do there. So Zach gonna take 2 off that Sacred Foundry coming in, or not Sacred Foundry, Steam Vents coming in.
2 damage to Ragavan.
Iteration. I didn't see what the card he found in exile was, but that looked like another
And
lightning
then
axe or Lotta axe coming into play.
3 damage
Taking
to
down
Os.
one of Diddy's creatures. Zach just gonna ping away at Diddy's board. Although I believe we're still facing down 3 points of damage even with this lightning bolt. And it looks like there's some question about
Kill one of the other ones, right? Otherwise I can win next time.
Yeah, I'll just kill
question here,
the.
but
the
The
Raptor
bolt
yet.
took a quick trip to the graveyard,
then
nothing was
that
removed,
was
and then
my
came back to the hand and cast
third
again
spell,
on the
So
Raptor.
Arclight comes back.
So just 2 power on Diddy's side with the ability to make some tokens if we remember to do it. Arclight Phoenix coming back and looking like it's going to stay on defense. It's got a long road ahead of it to try to get 22 damage down before Diddy can deal 4.
Pay for stat, I
Yeah,
guess.
so I'm thinking he initially wanted to take out the Ocelot, which, I mean, rightfully so. I'm looking at that Ocelot myself and saying, get the heck out of here. But then I think he realized, oh, hey, I can at least block the Ocelot with 3-2, as opposed to the Amped Raptor being a 2-1 with first strike, which would take out his Phoenix on the block. But, luckily for Diddy here, having another Static Prison is huge. So I think this might just be it. We'll see what he kind of has here, but
Maybe I should have done that.
We see Zach fall down to 1. Oh, that must be the 2-1 token left behind from the Johnny, so it's not a 1-1 from the Ocelot.
correct.
So Zach down to 1. Plenty of mana to work with, and picking them up. Looks like we're going to get a game 3.
Yeah, on to game 3 here. I really don't think that anything changes through these sideboards. Maybe I'm incorrect, but
Dallas kept stealing them. The second
assuming
they were
Zach
he could take in everything.
probably bought in a couple more lightning axes.
I think you did.
Did I?
Yeah.
Zach being on the play.
Yes, I did.
We've talked about the fact that we think that Izzet Phoenix needs to get the game over, that Boros has the inevitability here, so maybe you consider bringing in the Thought Scours and the Consider, and like you mentioned, the Lava Axe for more removal. But outside of that, all you want to do is go fast here and get in with your flyers early on, so I can't see too much more than that being brought in.
What do you think about being a blue player that you are, Jared? What would you say about Stir and Scolding on the play and controlling from that aspect? Or do you feel like, once again, you just need to be the aggressor completely?
Spells are always better on the play than on the draw. Stern Scolding being a 1-mana one is affected by that a little bit less, but also Boros Energy's threats are all 1 mana as well. So yeah, I could see it coming in.
Yeah, I'll keep it.
You do want to be more proactive when you're trying to beat down, so if he's bringing it in, I don't think it's a difference between a play draw decision for Stern Scolding. But I also don't know that that's what you want when you're just trying to go as fast as possible and make sure that you have 3 proactive spells.
Invent, -2. Tap
Looks
this,
like
this,
our
pass.
players are back off to it with potentially no sideboard changes going from what I saw.
This is a battlefield you may pay
Here
2
on
life
game
if you
3.
don't enter the
Yes.
battlefield tap. I'm paying 2.
Yeah, starting off strong with a Darcy.
it's
So
untapped.
when that Dragon Rage hits, we're going to do some surveil things.
It's a 1-1.
Looks like Diddy already off
whenever I
with
cast
the Ocelot. Looks like a pretty solid hand. I think he's deciding between the Guide and an Ocelot. He's going to go with the Guide. So
Draw for turn.
An interesting decision whether you think that Ocelot's going to be able to get in. If Zach is able to trigger Delirium on turn 2.
Oh, should I
By
I'll
leading with the
surveil for
Guide,
this.
you definitely get the ability to trigger that
Drop
Ocelot
that,
on
and then-
turn 2 without interaction from Zach anyway. We did have this file get corrupted, so we did lose a bit of this match in the middle. We were able to recover it partway through, so just stick with us. In fact, it looks like
And
we
we're-
picked up right where we left off. The only change is perhaps a Serum Visions and an Expressive
Scour.
Iteration making their way into Zach's graveyard, but I don't think we lost too much in that change.
no, we're live. Yee. Round 3. Got to keep moving. So we do apologize once again, but
Surveil.
Zach off to some racing. Let's see what we got. We're going to surveil off the Darcy. And I can't tell if that's a...
And then surveil.
Strongly considering that Lightning Axe,
Draw card.
multiple surveils going on.
And
That must have been a consider.
This gets
The first being the Darcy
Gets
trigger
its
in the second
delirium.
game.
So delirium is as
Surveil
long as
on
there's
consider.
4 or more. Yeah, 4 or more
It
card
looks
types in my
like we
graveyard. It gets
have
+2/+2
Serum
and has flying
Visions,
and attacks each turn.
Lightning
table.
Axe, Consider, Expressive Iteration,
And then pass.
Okay. This goes.
Thought Scour. I see instant sorcery. There's an island, land.
Did you draw?
a mountain
There must be one more card type floating in there. I'm not sure what's right above the Consider on the top. I don't recognize that one.
Yep, go.
But it must be neither an instant or a sorcery.
I'm then going to play.
As Darcy comes swinging across the battlefield for 3 damage, taking Luke down to 15. And Caudal Pariah is going to create some energy thanks to this Guide of Souls, and Diddy's board is going to continue to get wider.
I think Diddy should try to get in for a point of damage at least here. I don't think he's going to.
Which land is this?
It doesn't seem like there's any reason not to. I don't think that Guide of Souls is blocking. I guess you could keep it back to trade with a Ragavan, a dashed Ragavan, but aside from that, I definitely think you'd prefer to trade off the token rather than the Guide of Souls, so get in there.
Oh, there we go. Let's get the action, Diddy.
Round 2, game 3, and he's the expert now.
Yeah, honestly, like I said, second time ever playing, I was a little impressed.
For sure. Boros Energy, a deck that can make up for some inexperience, but you still have to know how to pilot it. And as you mentioned, it's a very trigger happy deck. So just even remembering all that is a lot to take on in your second tournament.
I will.
Yeah, but we got a flyer here, so this could be the factor, and we'll see what Zach's got. He's going to take another 2. Got to be careful with that, with how big that board might build on the other side. But I see a Murktide in hand, so we do got a large baby in there. So we'll see what he decides. Serum Visions, it looks like another Consider. Okay, we're going to Consider.
Triggering the Surveil off of Darcy first, and then the Surveil from Consider. Putting both of those into the graveyard, just more fodder for that Murktide reagent, as you mentioned. And a big
we're doing the
threat
counting.
gonna come down on Zach's side.
Tap 2
Slams table. Boom. Murktide. And we're on.
Swing 3.
Here go.
Pass.
3 damage coming across. Dragon's Rage Chandler having to attack and knocking Luke down to 14.
Yeah, Diddy's really going to need a static prison here. I think that's going to be the thing that gets him out of here. I mean, he doesn't have 4 mana for the 1 ring to give him any protection, to give him a little bit of a chance. He's got to start getting in real quick. So we do see a 3rd land come down. I don't remember seeing a static prison in hand, but hopefully he does have one. Maybe off the Amped Raptor can grab one.
Yep.
So we'll see. Part of the cards.
Yeah,
Appreciate you, Zach, and helping him out.
That's a land, so I keep going.
And it looks like a couple of lands.
3 lands. Oh,
And the static
and there it
prison,
was.
exactly what you were looking for.
Yeah, I mean, that was the one thing he needed to keep him in this game, so that's how Magic works sometimes.
This one of these, right?
So not even going to pay a single mana, and he's going to get additional energy and take care of the biggest threat on the board.
So give me that guy.
First strike, remove your
gain
opponent's
2,
largest
then use
creature
this.
from the game. That's a hell of a card.
What a swing. I mean, it looked literally as Zach had this thing down in 2 turns. And, here we go. Complete shift.
Maybe paying the price for the damage he took off his lands, as this board is going to be swinging in for 2, 4, I think just 4 this turn, but then creating quite a few tokens to go along with it. Off the Ocelot Pride.
Oh, yeah, I'm swinging with all these then. I always forget about the tap part. And I put 2 creatures on the battlefield, so I get 2. Right?
Yeah, this board's getting pretty wide. And Zach, I think, took away all of his resource out of that graveyard, so I don't think a second
This, and I get 2 life because
a second Murktide is going to be happening. So we're going to kind of have to see what we can string together. Maybe a board wipe in there. Yeah, that's why a lot of these deck lists are playing Pyroclasm in the side.
And in the colors blue and red, there's no even ability to deal with that static prison to get the one Murktide that he has back. Obviously, it would come back smaller if he did, but at most he's bouncing that to hand, and it'll come right back down after it again.
This 2 damage to the one that gives you
So
life.
Zach proceeding with a Ledger Shredder and a removal spell in the Guide of Souls. Gonna potentially be triggering Connive, unless we missed that. A little late, but a friendly tournament here, so competitive friendly tournament. As we connive,
And then I'll surveil, and then I'll
must
connive
be
with
a
him, so I'll
card
draw, discard a
to
card.
really consider there. Zach deciding to keep it. Looked like it was a blue card to me, although I couldn't quite catch what it was. Serum Vision's hitting the bin, and the Ledger Shredder growing once more.
My pass. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, definitely trying to build. He's got a lot of way to go here. Diddy's just so wide currently, and especially with having that Johnny out still, have to be careful. But here comes the race. I
I'm gonna
mean,
put this down, and I'm gonna pay 2 life, so it's not.
then you're gonna bring this in.
Well, now
Shocking.
the question of what to do.
Yes, our player's life totals neck and neck at 11-11 here. He must have
I'm gonna do this.
looking to use that 4th mana on, as there is another static prison and a flage in hand, so likely going to
Oh, yeah,
wiping
I went for that.
Zach's board and setting himself up for a nice threat on the next turn. Austin, remind me the Raptors text. Should those exiled cards be back in the deck, or is that what I see sitting off to the left there?
So I'm gonna use
They should be exiled, and it looks like Diddy might have missed his static prison trigger, so Zach being kind enough to kind of help out there. But this could just be the nail in the coffin, I think, with Flage to take out, either of these creatures, and then the static prison, the other one. I think that opens this thing wide up for Diddy just to take the win.
And then you do 3 damage to something. You want to
No
do 3
blockers
damage
back
to
for
it.
Zach. This board is going to end the game very quickly. Although it looks like we are finding the Dragon's Rage Channeler 3 toughness for 3 damage and a Flage headed to the graveyard.
and then it dies. It goes sack
Yeah.
2.
And then you can pay to.
Diddy finding a way to tap that mana appropriately, so he's learning.
Yeah, you need.
Sure. Especially in this kind of deck.
Okay, and I got 1 place left, and I got a
Shaking his legs nervously a bit. You see the writing on the wall is the legend of the board. Static prison.
And then we're swinging. We're big time swinging.
I believe.
So 3, 4, 5, 6.
Just
And I have
consider
life
Serum Visions left in
life
range.
link, so bang. And I'm done.
Definitely going to need the top of his deck to be kind to him here to stand a chance.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, needs that board wipe. I just don't think you'll be able to do 15 here, facing down lethal.
I'll add a red and a
We're
blue.
pushing. See if we can get anything, but we see the bolt, and I think that's playing the expressive iteration.
I got 1 life for it.
Make sure we're keeping those separate from our hand as we're resolving those, but it doesn't look like it's going to make any major difference in this match as Scalding Torrents is one of the cards that's found. We don't have much option left in our hand after that. That's the other 4 here with the Lightning Bolt.
I get a 1/1 white from it.
Forward.
No, I wasn't. I was just kidding.
He's still dead on board. He takes care of either of the 2 power creatures. There's still 4 power there. Behind, but there is a blade.
I had no idea that because it's like I haven't read it.
Yeah, this is going to be because, I mean, even leaving just the bolt left here, already played his land for turn. You take out the cat token, you let the Ajani flip. So this is going to be a tough one. Maybe getting the Dragon Rage Channeler, but that's still it because it's the same
still only removing 2 power from the field regardless, and there's 6 power there. So this looks like our last attack step if we even get there. And Zach
There it
concedes
is.
it's going to wrap up round 2 for us.
Yeah, I don't
We'll see
claim
you all
this
in round
victory
3.
as my victory.
All right, yeah. See you guys.